Hey guys, another quick marketing tip for you. Just sitting working on some stuff at the laptop here, and it just came to me. I was sitting thinking about SEO. We were doing an SEO consult with a client, and just filling them in on all the different components, how complex SEO can be in this day and age. So I wanted to just run through all the things that you'll need to have in place if you want SEO to be a factor for your business online in terms of lead generation, getting traffic to your site, and so on. So in the old days, it used to be, when I say that, I mean like 10 years ago when I started out in the industry, it used to be that most marketplaces were not as competitive as they are now, but also the search engines, really importantly, were not nearly as sophisticated in their algorithms as they are now. So you used to get, you might recall this, you used to get websites which were really basic kind of websites, but at the bottom of the website, right in what we call the footer, the bottom area, it used to have all these jumbled, sort of non-related words in the footer. And the idea behind that was something called keyword stuffing, where a company, normally not a particularly ethical or good company, would stuff all these keywords into the base of their site, and the search engines would trawl the site, see all these keywords and say, okay, this site is about these different things, let's recommend the site to the people who are searching in our search engine. And of course that was an inaccurate way to do it. It was a misleading way to do it, and search engines very quickly started to become much more sophisticated in their algorithms so that they could avoid things like that, and so that their results would be as relevant as humanly possible, or in fact as relevant as robotly possible, because they're sending out robots to basically trawl websites these days. So on that basis, things become more complex. It's not just a simple matter of having keywords on your website in order to get traffic. And I guess we all probably know that, right? So what I want to do today is just give you a quick checklist of different things that you can implement. Some of them, most of them are things you can do yourself, either on like your domain, your hosting package, or your website itself. Give you some tools in the description of the video as well, so you can actually go about testing these things and making sure that your website is actually compliant with all these different approaches. And then there's maybe a couple of things where you might want to get a programmer involved and say, look, can you just review this real quick? Maybe takes half an hour or something like that. So all of that information will be in the description below the video. Okay, so let's start at the base level. You've got your website, or you're creating your website. What do you need for your website to actually operate? And first things first, of course, you need your domain. So www.yourbusiness.com or .org or whatever. You need a hosting package below that kind of to support your website. So what you want to do in terms of SEO, making sure that your website is set up for good search engine optimization, you do need to get a high performing server or hosting package. Now, when businesses are starting out, the default method is, go to GoDaddy or HostGator or whatever and just get like the basic business package at like $3.99 and get your website up and get it up and running and go from there. The problem with that is those hosting packages are shared servers. So what that means is that there's a server somewhere in a data center, probably in like Florida or Texas or something like that, and GoDaddy or a similar company to that, which is like a mass hosting company. Texas just phoning me. Isn't that wild? So GoDaddy are one of those companies will basically collect a load of websites and throw them all onto a server. Okay, so you could be sharing a server resource with 100 other websites. You have no control over it. You just have to hope that it kind of performs decently enough, okay? And that's not enough, of course, in this day and age. What you need to be doing is making sure that your server is a really high performing server within reason. You don't need to spend $500 a month on a top of the line dedicated server necessarily. What I'd recommend you do is you go for what's called a VPS, like virtual private server, and you get control over that server. And what that means is that you get better performance, And performance does actually go in to search engine rankings. When Google and other search engines trawl your website and they see that your website is fast to respond, it's got quick page load times and things like that, it knows that, well, if nothing else, this site is delivering the content on the site really fast. So that's number one. You got to have performance sussed. At the base level, that's going to rely on the server performance. Look at VPSs. You can normally get VPSs for like maybe $49 a month. If it's a business website, it's not a lot of money, but you got to balance kind of budgeting, and maybe you're starting out and all that kind of stuff. I totally appreciate that. But my recommendation would be not to go for a shared server. Go for a VPS. You don't need necessarily a dedicated server or anything like that. So get a VPS in place. That kind of locks down the performance of your website at the base level. Next, then, when you overlay your website onto the server, or you load it to the server, you need to make sure that your website itself performs fast. So if you're using, for instance, WordPress, you want to make sure that the code on your website is clean. There's not a load of kind of random code in there that is unnecessary. Now that's the potential area where a good programmer will come into play. We put a lot of work in the agency into stripping out unnecessary code, or if we're maybe building a website from scratch on a custom theme for WordPress, we want to make sure that there's nothing in there that isn't necessary. So if a website loads, and you get images and text and video loading and all that kind of stuff, you want to minimize that as much as possible so that your load times are getting in and around maybe the 1 to 2 second mark. So if somebody clicks on your website, 1, 2, the website's there for them, right? Anything longer than that, people get frustrated. Also then it feeds into the Google and other search engine ranking algorithm, where if they see that your website takes 7 seconds, 10 seconds to load, they're like, that's not going to work for our users, let's not recommend this website. And then you get bumped down the rankings, penalized, and then you're never going to get anywhere anyway. And that's why I want to say it's really important to have that foundational level set. So you got the server, it's operating really fast, you overlay your website onto it or load your website onto it, it's operating really fast. The next thing you want to have in place is mobile optimization. A few years ago, Google released their algorithm at the time, which was a big shake-up in the industry. And what it meant was any websites that didn't comply with their Google-friendly test would get penalized in mobile search. And with the explosion of mobile search, I think it's relatively recently overtaken desktop search, it's really important that those two distinct entities, desktop and mobile search, are attended to. So if you've got a really good website that performs well and it's got everything else is working, but it's not mobile compatible, you're losing probably half of your traffic instantly. And we actually noticed a number of clients who came on board with us around that time experiencing the same thing. They would come to us in a panic saying, listen, we just lost like 1,000 visitors a month, what happened? And we were able to fix it over time, but it took some time. So you don't want that to happen. So make sure your website is mobile compatible, mobile compliant. There'll be a link below the video where you can actually test within Google whether your website is compliant, and hopefully you get a load of green ticks and then you're good to go and you know that. So that's the next thing. So we've got our server, we've got our website, mobile compatible version of the website, or responsive, so it kind of reshuffles, reshapes based on the screen and the device that it's being viewed on. Now most WordPress themes and any of the software as service platforms like Squarespace or Shopify and so on will come mobile compatible as standard, so you won't necessarily need to worry about that. But if you've got an existing website, you'll want to test that and make sure it is 100% compliant. And also if you're building something that's maybe a semi-custom version, like say a WordPress theme that you're customizing, getting a team to customize, you want to make sure that the customizations don't knock out the mobile compatibility element. So now you've got your website and it's sitting there. The next important thing is going to be content. You got to have engaging content. Google and other search engines rank your website based upon how engaging the content is on the website. So your written, visual, video, or audio content all need to be engaging. You want to entertain the people that come to your website for a number of reasons. First of all, you want them to stay longer in that session. So when they land on your website, you want them to stay as long as possible and digest as much information as possible. Next, you want them to come back to your website. Third, you want them to engage with your content. So like your content, share it out, comment on it, ask questions, get involved on social media and those kinds of things. Those factors all add up to what we call an authority website. It means that Google and other search engines will recognize when people stay on your website, delve further, read multiple articles, spend a lot of time, come back and engage with the content. And that's really important. There's no point in having the foundation of the website there. You got a really fast, optimized, mobile compatible website, and then the content lets it all down. So you want to focus in on content. You don't need an awful lot of content to start, especially if you're just building a website for the first time. But what you want to do is try and create a hierarchy of all the most important pages on your website. Get those done first, get them out there, and then start testing, making sure that the people coming to your website are being engaged by the content. If they're not, then rejig, retest, change up, maybe introduce a new video or new text or something like that. Be creative with it. But engagement is really key, because Google and the other search engines will rank on how engaging your content is. It's really, really important. Without that, you're never going to get anywhere in search engine rankings. Okay, next thing is going to be security, website security. So we talked about the server and getting your hosting package in there, and then overlaying a good clean coded website and mobile optimization. Your website also needs to be secure. It needs to be safe for visitors to come to. So for instance, if you have a hosting package with GoDaddy or 1&1 or Bluehost or WP Engine or any of those names, go onto the hosting package and immediately get what we call an SSL, a Secure Sockets Layer certificate. Sounds complex. All it really is an added layer of encryption. So it's more difficult for somebody to hack your website. It used to be that it was only important for e-commerce websites that were collecting credit card information and so on. But in this day and age, Google has actually come out and said that they're going to start showing warnings on websites which don't have SSL certificates. So SSL certificates are really important in this day and age, not only because they add that security layer, but because they prove to search engines that your website is safe to visit. So you got to have that in place. The next thing is just general security. If your website gets hacked, say you've got a WordPress website and it gets hacked and malicious scripts, code, pages get put into your website, Google will see that and they will penalize your website. It's not your fault, but it will happen. They look at your website, even if you've got an SSL, but say your WordPress security, your WordPress website get hacked or something like that, they will see that and they will say, well, this website isn't safe, let's take it out of the search engine results, okay? So security is really, really important. So make sure you got that kind of sorted from day one. The last thing I want to talk about is something that you don't often relate to search engine optimization. It's more like a byproduct of search engine optimization, if you like, and that is traffic. So you've built a website, it's really high performing. By the way, to test high performance, go to pingdom, pingdom.com, and search for their speed test, and you can actually see how quick your website loads. So go do that first. But in terms of the traffic coming into your website, most people think, well, SEO, if my website is search engine optimized, then I get traffic, right? Yes, that's true. That's the hope, and that's why we actually focus in on search engine optimization. But at its base level, the more traffic that comes into your website and is allowed to be engaged by your content and stay around and come back for repeat visits and share out your content and all those kind of factors that also feed into SEO, it's important that you give Google and other search engines that bigger data sample. So if you've got 10 people coming to your website and Google can see that, but they only see that like 3 people engaged with the content, that's a very small data sample. Whereas if you have 10,000 people that come to your website and 3,000 engaged with content, shared it out, commented, came back, repeat visitors, stayed a long time in your website, that's a much bigger data sample. So Google can see that this is happening on your website, and then it says, well, 3,000 engaged visitors, that seems to be a pretty high authority website within this particular industry. And of course, that's very important, especially with local search. You know, if you're in a locale or region, whether it be a little town of like a couple of miles or 10 miles or 30 miles in a region or whatever, it's important that you are competitive in your marketplace so that you get that visibility. So there's all sorts of other things you'll want to have in place. You'll want to have your social media accounts set up and registered on your website. You'll want to have Google My Business so you appear on Google Maps and your details appear in there. You'll also want to look at reviews, so reputation management online, garnering more and more reviews for your products and services and your brand, whether it be on platforms like Facebook, Google, other review collection sites like Yelp and so on. So all of those factors will feed in. They build trust within search engines, they build authority within search engines, they create engagement within the marketplace in terms of users, visitors coming to your website, being engaged and staying around. And ultimately, it's about creating that large-scale picture for the search engines to be able to see all the different facets of search engine optimization. You tick them all off and you're golden. You'll start to get into the search results for your industry or your local business. But it really is, these days, it's not just, like I said at the start, about just creating a little kind of section at the base of your website and stuffing a load of keywords in and then you'll get found. That doesn't work anymore, hasn't for a long time, many years. But really now it's about creating that overall picture. So from the security, the performance, the content, engagement, reputation management, registration on all the different social platforms and so on. So make sure that you're doing all of those things and you'll probably see some pretty good results over time in terms of search engine presence, rising up the rankings. And ultimately you got to think of it like this. In every market around the world, it's more competitive than ever. If you're not doing it, your competitors will be. So that's why you want to make sure you create that full-blown picture to create a really compelling argument for the search engines to take notice of you and reward you with more and more visitors, more and more traffic for keywords that are related to your business and your products and services. So guys, hopefully that was of help. Just a quick tip in terms of SEO, all the different factors you need to have in place. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the like button, comment below, ask any questions, that's what I'm here for, and make sure you hit the subscribe button too, and I can keep you posted with all the new stuff that I'm going to be bringing out here on the channel. A lot of free training, free tips and tricks, and a lot of free kind of consulting. So if you need any help, just let me know, I'm here, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Catch you then. Hey guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I can keep you posted with all the free training on the channel. Look forward to seeing you again. Have a good one.